Welcome back to MADMAN Review. The 10mm is a very capable cartridge for self-defense with good ammunition, and as has been pointed out numerous times on the interwebs, a good woods cartridge capable of hunting big game or dispatching large predators. But there are considerations regarding 10mm that should be thought through before deciding it would be your EDC, and if only for this reason, many people argue that the 10mm is a terrible choice for self-defense. So, what are these things you should consider? In this video, I'll talk about 6 reasons why I believe that 10mm is a terrible choice for self-defense. Number 6. There's few 10mm CCW options. Alright, so here's the scoop. Most 10mm pistols are either kinda big and heavy, and trust me, carry those around all day and you'll feel it. Or they're on the smaller side and they're so light that they're a pain to shoot. But hey, if you're committed and ready to spend some quality time at the range, none of that has to be a deal breaker. Just train with the gun and bullets you want to carry, and you're good to go. Let's talk about large 10mm handguns for a bit. The largest factory models I know are Rock Island Armory's Pro Ultramatch, which is a 2011 style long slide with a 6-inch barrel and a 16+1 round capacity, and Iver Johnson's Eagle XL10, which is a 1911 style long slide with an 8-round capacity. There's another 2011 long slide in 10mm I'm aware of, but I don't think it's being produced anymore. SDI's Perfect 10 with a 6-inch barrel and a 17-round capacity. The Rock Island Armory Pro Ultramatch weighs in at around 47.07 ounces, while Iver Johnson's Eagle XL10 tips the scales at 44 ounces. These pistols are heavy. You might have difficulty carrying either concealed, and eventually, you might lose interest in carrying. Of course, we know that a self-defense handgun is useless if you're not carrying it. A Glock 40 Gen 4 MOS with an MRD weighs just right, in my opinion, only 35.45 ounces, but it's still a long slide with a 6.02-inch barrel and can't be easily carried concealed. So even though it weighs just right, it's going to be difficult to carry concealed. Alright, so I dove deep for this video and found just 13 handguns that rock the 10mm. But as I said earlier, STI's Perfect 10 might be off the shelves, so we're looking at 12. Out of those, only 9 can be tucked away for concealed carry with relative ease. Now, narrowing it down even more, I'd say only 6 of those bad boys are easy to carry and heavy enough to handle that kickback. The other 3, too lightweight, but I'll talk about those in a bit. So, you want to know my top 6 picks? Here they are. Rock Island Armory Rock Ultra HC, Grand Power P40L, Smith & Wesson M&P 10mm M2.0, Springfield Armory XDM Elite OSP, Sig Sauer P320 X10, and FN510 MRD. But I'm not diving deep on these right now. This ain't a top 10 rundown, but if you're itching for more info, holler in the comments. Number 5. 10mm is unnecessarily loud. Like, seriously loud. I took my Glock 20 to an outdoor range and totally spaced on ear protection. Thought I'd try to tough it out, but after just 10 shots, my ears were ringing like a concert encore. And every time I pop off my 10mm in an indoor range, I either get to the "Dude, what was that?" side-eye, or someone shouting, "Hey, you trying to break our eardrums down there?" To put it in perspective for you all, a regular 10mm shot from a full-size handgun, something like a Colt Delta Elite, is definitely louder than your 40 Smith & Wesson and way louder than a 9mm, both from full-sized 1911 style pistols. But the 10mm ain't reaching .357 Magnum from a revolver levels of loud because we all know that a revolver typically has more decibels than a semi-auto, if both are chambered in a caliber with similar ballistics. Now, if you're thinking of shooting those beefy Buffalo Bore 180 grain rounds from a shorter barrel handgun, like a Grand Power P40L with a 4.25-inch barrel, brace your eardrums for an even louder bang. And if you're firing shots from a Glock 29 Gen 4, with an even shorter 3.78-inch barrel, that's going to be a sonic boom in comparison. Number 4, 10mm has a lot of muzzle flash in low light situations. Muzzle blast is essentially the visible flash that accompanies the loud noise you hear when a gun is fired. It's caused by the rapid expansion of gas from the burning gunpowder as it exits the muzzle of the gun. Magnum-level handgun cartridges like the .357 Magnum will burn more powder, leading to a more pronounced muzzle flash. Standard 10mm factory loads are about as powerful as .357 factory loads, while hot 10mm loads, like, again, Buffalo Bore's heavy 180-grain JHPs, nip at the heels of the .41 Magnum, which is more powerful than the .357 Magnum. In low-light situations, our pupils dilate to let in more light so we can see better. Because of this, the sudden and bright muzzle flash from firing a round can appear even more pronounced and blinding, especially if you shoot a powerful round like the 10mm out of a friggin' Glock 29 Gen 4 with a 3.78-inch barrel. Forget about heavy recoil for a second. The flash from that 10mm can seriously mess with your vision if you're shooting in the dark. Shooting for fun at night? No biggie. But if things get real and you gotta defend yourself, getting blinded by your own gun's flash ain't doing you any favors. Number 3, 10mm has a heavy recoil. Look, when we talk 10mm, we're talking bullets like the 165 grain, 180 grain, and even 200 grain. And yeah, they all kick hard. That's why the .40 Smith & Wesson came into the picture. Quick history lesson. Jeff Cooper gave us the 10mm back in 1983. The FBI thought about switching up from their 9mm to the 10mm, especially after the FBI Miami-Dade shootout in '86, where 2 special agents tragically lost their lives from their injuries, and 5 others were wounded by gunshots. But after adopting the 10mm, they were like, whoa, this thing's too beastly for the everyday beat. Some scrawny FBI agents were like, no way I can handle this kick, so they downloaded their carry ammo. Enter Smith & Wesson with the .40 S&W. Same bullet, same case as the 10mm, but made a little shorter because they didn't need all that powder. For years, the .40 S&W was the star, leaving 10mm in the shadows. But now, seems like the .40 S&W's days are numbered. But back to the topic, you can try and tame that 10mm recoil with lighter bullets, like the Liberty Civil Defense 60 grain, but then you run into under-penetration issues. That's a whole other can of worms, so we won't get into it. Plus, finding those lightweight 10mm bullets, good luck. Last I checked, they're all out of stock. A heavier gun can help with that kick, but we've been there already. Hefty 10mm handgun, easier on the hand, tougher on the hip. Go too light, it feels like you're shooting a cannon. Right now, Glock's got 3 10mm models out. Glock 20 Gen 4, Glock 29 Gen 4, and Glock 20 Gen 5 MOS. All come in under 28 ounces. Personally, I'd like a bit more weight for that 10mm beast. Number 2, finding the Goldilocks ammo can be difficult. If you're looking to carry a 10mm, you've got to dig deep to find the right ammo and then put it to the test. It's not just pick and go. 10mm rounds tend to run on the pricier side. Even with prices dropping, they usually cost more than your usual 9mm or .40 S&W rounds. If you're a reloader, maybe that's not a biggie. But if you're grabbing factory rounds off the shelf, it's worth noting, especially if you want to keep your shooting skills tight. You gotta fire off rounds regularly. Now, ever since the FBI switched back to 9mm from .40 Smith & Wesson around 2015, the 9mm has been the darling of the concealed carry world. With so many 9mm options out there, it's a tough sell to push the 10mm. You're looking at a sea of choices with the 9mm, but only a puddle for the 10mm. Now, I'm not here to rank the best 10mm self-defense rounds or anything, but if you're curious, some of the top contenders include Federal's Premium 200 grain HST JHP, Hornady's Critical Duty 175 grain Flex Lock, SIG's Elite Performance 180 grain V-Crown JHP, and Winchester's Defender 180 grain modded JHP. Just some food for thought. Number 1. Legal pitfalls. Lastly, there's the issue of legality. Ever heard of Harold Fish? If you haven't heard of him, his case is more than just a warning to gun owners. It's a haunting exposition of how, even when one believes they're acting within the bounds of the law, unforeseen pitfalls can emerge. His story emphasizes the profound complexities concealed within America's legal system, especially concerning the use of firearms in self-defense. Being right, morally or factually, might not always coincide with legal perceptions. Harold Fish's story is a stark testament to this. He responded to a threatening situation, acted in self-defense, and afterward tried to aid his assailant. Such actions should paint a picture of a man acting responsibly in a dire situation. Yet, our corrupt justice system turned into an unexpected direction, steering him into a vortex of legal woes. Many Americans believe in the axiom, if you do right, the law will stand by you. However, the Fish case underscores that this isn't always the reality. Legal proceedings are nuanced, swayed by public opinion, political pressures, and at times, personal biases. And when the media regularly paints gun owners under a monolithic brush of hostility and impulsiveness, it muddies the waters even more for those seeking a fair judgment. Mr. Fish's trial was peppered with ironies. It was bewildering how the court chose to dismiss the aggressive past of his assailant while shining a harsh spotlight on Fish shooting the guy with a 10mm handgun. This disparity in treatment hints at a deeper systemic issue and a bias that suggests gun ownership alone might be equated with a predisposition to violence. For all gun owners, this case rings alarm bells. It's important not just to train yourself in firearms, but to also consider the potential legal aftermath if you're carrying a 10mm and end up shooting someone to defend yourself. It's a reminder that beyond the immediate physical threat, there's a looming legal battlefield where the lines are blurrier and the stakes are just as high. The distressing outcome of Harold Fish's ordeal is an urgent call to reevaluate the perception of self-defense in America. It's not just about the split-second decision to pull the trigger. It's about navigating the long, treacherous aftermath. While the power and ballistics of a 10mm handgun are undeniably attractive, one must question, are these benefits worth the potential societal and legal backlash? Especially in areas where there aren't immediate wildlife threats like bears, the choice becomes even more layered. Choosing to carry any firearm demands introspection, not just about the firearm's mechanics, but about the broader, intricate tapestry of repercussions that could unravel. In essence, the true challenge for any responsible gun owner might not be the immediate threat they face, but the prolonged battle in the courtrooms and the court of public opinion. This should never happen in America, but it did. So, yeah. The 10mm handgun offers many advantages in terms of power and ballistics, but potential legal issues might outweigh those benefits. If you're living in an area where there are bears or other dangerous predators prowling about, you can use that as legal excuse to carry a 10mm handgun. But if you don't live in such a predator-infested area, legal pitfalls make the 10mm a terrible choice for self-defense. And that's all I have for you in this video. If it was helpful or entertaining, please like and share with your friends. Subscribe if you haven't already, and click on that little bell icon too. Thanks for watching.